Colby Covington fights who, where, and when? Give me one guess as of today.
Colby Covington fights Marty Fake Newsman on Dana White's Fight Island.
This summer.
This summer, in July.
Cool.
What would usually be International Fight Week over on Fight Island. Let's do it, baby. Feed his dead body to the Sharks after I'm done with it, because without Mark Goddard to save him in the fight and help him cheat, he stands no chance.
So 170 pounds, just so good right now. I mean, so many interesting players in that top 10. Of course, Jorge Masvidal is all the rage, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, and they're all chasing Kamaru Usman. I'd imagine from the promoter's seat, you feel pretty good about the outlook at 170 pounds right now.
Yeah, 170-pound division is awesome right now. Any of those guys fighting each other is an incredible fight. You know, you could do Masvidal, Covington. You could do Woodley, Covington, Woodley, Masvidal, Edwards versus any of them. And all four of those guys versus Usman is fun.
All right, well, in terms of the May 30th fight card, we're just going to rifle through that for you. We're going to reveal the entire fight card right now. It's UFC Fight Night, Woodley versus Burns, live not only on ESPN Plus, but also simulcast on ESPN. First up, the prelims. A lot of names going to jump off the page here. At bantamweight, Louis Smolka taking on Casey Kenny. Former flyweight title challenger Tim Elliott back against a newcomer that people are really excited about in Brandon Royval. Billy Q takes on the Alpha Ginger Spike Carlisle, and Caitlin Chukagian going to try her hand at a second Shevchenko sister. She takes on Antonina in the featured prelim. Then the main card looks like this. At strawweight, Mackenzie Dern faces Hannah Cyphers. Good one at lightweight. A couple of Dana White Contender Series alums here. Brock Weaver, Roosevelt Roberts. Kevin Holland making a quick turn, Dana. That's a story. After a win last weekend, he takes on Daniel Rodriguez. Co-main event at heavyweight, Blagoy Ivanov facing Augusto Sakai. In the main event, of course, Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Durinho Burns. So
as things started to fall apart and we continued to, figure out who still wanted to fight, when we were trying to pull off the April 18th card in California, we were still looking at other fights. Obviously, we got it together. We went to Florida. We pulled 3 cards out, and we got back in the office here on Monday. And then Tuesday, we had our matchmaking meeting to figure out the rest of June. And then but the Woodley Burns match is a fight that we really wanted to make. Gilbert Burns has been on an absolute tear. He's undefeated at this weight since he went to 170. He's 3-0. He's got 8 wins by submission, 6 by knockout, 10 first-round finishes, and beat Damian Maia, which is a big deal. So, this kid's on fire right now. Him and Woodley should be fun.
Oh, it's incredible. A lot of people see Gilbert as a live underdog. He's plus 160 or so right now, but 5 consecutive wins, and always nice to see a guy get that first main event nod, right? I mean, you look at the body of work, 11 UFC wins, and finally getting that main event showcase. I'd imagine you're pretty excited to see what he can do with it against a former champ.
Yeah, and he matches up very well against Woodley, and, this should be a really, really fun fight, man. I'm looking forward to it.
It was a situation where you give credit for Walt even being in that position to fight, right? Like, that's so difficult. But then ESPN did some fantastic pieces on Walt and his relationship with his daughter, Anaya. And it was Walt wanting to honor her through his performances. And I thought that it was great. I thought that was a great reason for him to be competing. But with that comes a little bit of pressure, right? And I just hope that Walt didn't have so much emotional connection to the fight that's what fatigued him. Because that might have been part of it. And it sucks, because I understand as a guy who's lost a daughter, right? Although my daughter was very young, how much of a toll that takes on you physically and emotionally. So for Walt to be back in there competing, that was great. But I don't know if maybe, that storybook ending that oh my goodness, I'm going to knock out Alistair Overeem after going through all this, didn't like exhaust him. Like, oh, it's happening. It can be exhausting carrying all that emotional weight, and carrying the physical weight, and also fighting one of the best fighters in the world and in the history of mixed martial arts. So I thought he started well, but I mean, you couldn't help but be rooting for him. And I'm telling you, man, I was hoping the ref would have stopped the fight. I was like, and I like Alistair, but I was just hoping that he could have that moment, where he could just, like, I know it would have felt like a weight lifted off of his shoulder if he won the fight, and was able to dedicate it to his daughter. But I think that was a harsh reminder that life isn't a fairy tale. And no matter how much the world or people want for you to have success in these types of situations, it doesn't always work out like that. So sad, but hats off to Walt for being so courageous and putting himself on display in such a tough time for him and his family.
Lot of buzz about Jon Jones potentially moving up to heavyweight, wants Francis Ngannou. Does that whet your appetite at all, that potential booking down the line?
Jon Jones versus Ngannou?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously that's a fight that people would love to see, and these guys are talking a lot of smack back and forth. I don't see that fight happening.
Yeah.
I don't see that fight happening.
The Fight Island buzz, dude, is so palpable. I mean, the t-shirts are flying off the shelves, UFCstore.com. You can get them right now. And I'd imagine your phone doesn't go 5 or 10 minutes without some fighter or executive type blowing you up trying to get answers on Fight Island. Is there any update on the island?
You know what's hilarious about you asking me that question right now? Literally this morning when I was driving to work, I was talking to Ari, and Ari goes, how many people a day ask you where Fight Island is? Because I guess people are blowing him up, asking him where Fight Island is. And people are very intrigued by Fight Island, and I'm excited for it. Right now, we're looking at June, and we're literally gonna knock out 3 or 4 fights there in a month. And I'm gonna stay on the island for a month. I'm gonna go stay there. I'll probably be there the whole month of July.
5 consecutive wins, and always nice to see a guy get that first main event nod, right? I mean, you look at the body of work, 11 UFC wins, and finally getting that main event showcase. I'd imagine you're pretty excited to see what he can do with it against a former champ.
Yeah, and he matches up very well against Woodley, and this should be a really, really fun fight, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Just look how happy he is.